it has now been decided that going forward, no officer who has served for more than 3 years should remain in the station they are serving. The signal went out 2 weeks ago, the day when the task force on police reforms presented their progress report to the president. And now it's part of the policy reforms that we have initiated, and we are expecting, we have given the police command a maximum of 60 days to make sure that all officers countrywide who have stayed for more than 3 years, not 5, must be transferred. Number 2, on the question of involvement of politicians in the appointment of chiefs and assistant chiefs, I agree, and I hope that the proposal by Senator Dulo is in sync with the proposal by the chairman of the Senate Security Committee, because the senator for Baringo, who is the chair of the Security Committee, recommended that there is need for public involvement, public participation in hiring of chiefs. But I don't think public involvement means involvement or meddling by politicians. It just means that the politicians, like everybody else, can also give their views, but the decision remains the decision of government. And I know what the Senator Dulo is pursuing is the actual meddling, where a politician wants to decide who becomes a chief. That is wrong. What we should encourage is public participation, including the participation of leaders, because they also have views, but the decision should perhaps involve more people. So those are some of the policy proposals that we are willing to look at. But on the 3-year transfer is mandatory. In fact, the directive by the government is that any officer after the 60 days who continues to resist or for whatever reason does not move to a new station, the salary will be stopped. It is that serious. And for those doing sensitive operations, normally we move them after 1 year, because the kinetic work and operations they engage in are extremely demanding. After 1 year, we rotate them so that they serve, even if it's within the same sensitive operations, but in a different station every year. But for general police duties, 3 years you must move. If you don't move, we'll stop your salary. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is true we have lost officers in the line of duty. And some of them have been lost in the counter-terrorism efforts. Others have been lost in the counter-banditry efforts. Others have been lost in the fight in urban crime. Just this weekend, we lost an officer, I think yesterday, who, in the company of 2 other colleagues, had cornered a dangerously armed thug. They managed to neutralize the thug, but the thug shot 3 officers and 1 of them succumbed yesterday. Last year, we lost a total of 58 National Police Service officers countrywide in all these dangerous operations. As to the question whether we send recruits to dangerous missions, the answer is no. We have reserved the deployment of officers in complicated security operations, those that involve the fight against terror, bandits, and other dangerous criminals, to elite units within the National Police Service. So it's not about age of the officer. It is the training of the officer that determines the deployment. because you can have a very experienced officer but has no exposure, has no training to handle sophisticated crime. So the age of the officer should not be the problem. You can have a 27-year-old, but they were recruited very early after Kiganjo or APTC and taken to serious counter-terrorism training. It could be 24, 25, but that is the best we have for that effort. So the age should not be a worry. What should be a worry for us as a nation is the loss of our officers in the hands of criminals. I have committed on behalf of government that we shall go out of our way to minimize casualties on our side. So far, in Operation Maliza Uhalifu, we have not had many casualties. We've not had casualties, so to speak. The solution is the 25 billion police equipment modernization program, which has already been completed and the deliveries have started trickling in. And I want to assure the country, in the coming weeks and months, we will turn around the story around terror. And it will be impossible. It will be difficult, if not impossible, for criminals to be able to fell down our officers. We'll make it extremely difficult. But as happens in war, casualties are part of the issue, but we'll minimize them going forward. Better equipment, which includes air equipment or air assets, personal protection equipment, and also the increasing use of unarmed vehicles, aerial vehicles, UAVs, commonly known as drones, to minimize physical contact. Going forward, we will turn around the story and we'll have less officers being felled by the fire of terrorists and dangerous criminals. Terror poses an existential threat to our country. We have all seen what has happened in the Middle East. One small gap in the fight against terror can have devastating effects. So we are not leaving anything for chance. We are concerned with the situation right now in Northeastern. I want to promise the country I will spend more time in Northeastern in the coming days and weeks, because we must bring back the situation and contain the situation that is evolving in that part of our country. The same with Lamu. And on Lamu, I think I had promised to be there from today, but I had to honor this house. I know I'm appearing again before many other committees of the National Assembly tomorrow, so I may have to postpone my journey for a while as I attend to these other obligations. But I can report to the country. We will fix the situation in Lamu. The terror that is being visited on the people of Lamu is unacceptable. And before the end of this week, in the next 2 days, the Ministry of Interior is going to publish those suspects that we consider to be the chief planners and those who bear the greatest responsibility in planning, financing, and orchestrating the violence that has visited Lamu County in the recent weeks. And we will be calling on the people of Kenya to give us information, and we will reward information. We will reward financially information that can help us apprehend those dangerous criminals. In the alternative, we will be giving notice to those criminals to surrender to the authorities, to the nearest police station, to the nearest military camp, to the nearest government office within a given time frame. And we are going to do that announcement before Friday. In the alternative, if they do not surrender, we will look for them and we will find them. And when we find them, we will do what we must. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. That it is true that there was or has been a delay in the recruitment of National Police Reservists in Marsabit County. The reasons for that delay, first, at the time when the request was made by the leaders of Marsabit, we had exhausted the budget for last year, and we were not able to accommodate that request in last year's or last financial year's budget. Number two, at the time when the request was made, many residents of Marsabit County had migrated because of the devastation of the drought that had affected this area, among other arid and semi-arid areas of our country, and therefore it was not practical to carry out the exercise. I am happy to report that the budget issue has been resolved, and therefore this financial year we can accommodate that request, perhaps in a modest way, because again we will give priority to the most needed parts of that county. And number two, now that normalcy has returned and the residents are back in the county, that is the second reason why that process should be able to commence. I therefore plead with the Senator from Marsabit and the House to give us 30 days to report progress on this matter. Honorable Speaker, in terms of the rest of the counties, the deployment of National Police Reservists is as follows. In Samburu County, the government has recruited 460 National Police Reservists. They have already been trained and deployed since November 2022 to date. There has been an additional recruitment of 150 NPRs who were recruited, but they have not been trained, they have not been deployed from the same county. And partly we have realized that the recruitment of NPRs has a bearing on the security of these regions, and that explains partly why Samburu County in most parts have experienced some kind of stability, among other reasons. Mr. Speaker, sir, in Elgeyo Marakwet County, the government has recruited a total of 153 National Police Reservists, and they will be trained. Again, we could not do the training because of budgetary constraints, but we'll be training them this financial year and deploying them. Baringo County, the government has recruited 200 National Police Reservists. They have been deployed accordingly. In West Pokot County, the government has recruited 205 National Police Reservists, but they are not yet, the process is not complete. The training has not been done and the deployment has not been done. Again, this financial year, we have been able to secure resources to complete that process. In Turkana County, the government has recruited 140 National Police Reservists, and they have been trained and deployed. And there has been a further request of 400, which was put on hold in terms of training and deployment because of budgetary constraints. Finally, Mr. Speaker, sir, in Laikipia County, the government has recruited 419 National Police Reservists. They have been recruited, trained, kitted, and deployed. And again, the significant security situation in Laikipia could be attributed significantly to the presence of NPRs. And therefore, for the outstanding counties, we'll expedite. And for the information of the House, we have also deployed NPRs in other parts, not the parts where the operation is ongoing, including Lamu. And we are reviewing again the numbers for Lamu and Northeastern this financial year. I submit. The NPRs continue to do a great job in securing the communities from where they come from. At the moment, we give them a token of 5,000 shillings a month, which has been described as inadequate, and we agree it's inadequate, but because of budgetary constraints, it has not been able to review that allowance forward. We are actually fighting to have it released timeously, because sometimes it has been taken 2-3 months before it is released, before we can even thinking of reviewing it upwards. But I'm a great supporter, as the security minister, I'm a great supporter of enhanced allowances for NPRs. We are also looking at the permutations to see whether we, this financial year, can put the NPRs on NHIF medical cover so that to improve on their welfare.
Thank you, Honorable.
In response to question number 032 by the Senator for Kirinyaga County, I would like to inform the House that for the last 2 years, which is the period for which he has asked for information, we have had 6 cases of missing persons who are claimed to have been abducted by their relatives, or rather the claims have been, reports have been made by their relatives that they have been abducted, and the following 6 have been reported at Kerogoya, Mutito, Kagumo, and Kiamariri police stations since November 2021. They include the following: 1, OB 25-2301-2023 at Kerogoya police station, Susan Waithera, aged 15 years, left her mother at a salon and to an unknown destination, but was reported to have resurfaced on 25th May 2023. Number 2, the other case which has been reported is OB number 31-18-12-2022, which was reported at Mutito police station. Peter Mogo, aged 40 years, he left home to an unknown destination and was later found dead. And from the examination, he was a victim of a fatal hit and run road traffic accident. Number 3, OB number 16/23/11/22, reported at Kagumo police station. Emily Wawera, 15 years old, left Kiaritha Secondary School at about 17:00 hours, but did not arrive home. She came home 2 days later, although it was reported as an abduction. The next one, number 4, OB number 25/25/07/2022. Again at Mutito police station, Anne Wangoi, aged 18 years, left home to see a friend within Kerogoya Township, but failed to return home. She was later traced in Nairobi on 29 September 2022 and escorted back home. Number 5, OB number 21/28/8/2022, reported at Kerogoya police station. Mase Wanjiro Irungu, aged 17 years, left home for Kadheri market to buy items, but disappeared and was later traced in Nairobi and escorted back home. Finally, the 6th one, reported as OB number 12/09/11/2021 at Kiamashiri police station. Bless Ann Wangeshi Maina went missing on her way back from school The victim has never been traced to date, and the case is still pending under investigations. Honorable Speaker, the government takes abduction very seriously and is therefore inviting any person who has information that can assist the police in the investigations to volunteer the same, and the same will be treated with confidence in order to bring accountability to the outstanding cases which I have listed here and others across the country that fall in the similar category. Honorable Speaker, the government is employing or has employed the following measures to enhance security and bring to book the perpetrators of these abductions and disappearances. One, we have intensified both foot and mobile patrols along the highway. Along that highway, we have increased the patrols. B, we have expedited the investigations into all reported cases of missing persons. 3, police are working closely with members of the public to engage reporting of missing persons in time. In other words, we are investing in better police-public relationship as the solution to ensuring that cases like this are investigated and culprits are arrested, because the public holds the key to successful investigations and arrests. D, sensitizing communities on the importance of sharing intelligence and prompt reporting whenever there is an incident. Number 5, we have revitalized community policing, a Nyumba Kumi initiative in the area in order to enhance information sharing. And finally, members of the public are continuously being sensitized to be sensitive to security. We must sensitize our members to be conscious of their own security, not to go to places unless they are sure about the environment, and to report suspicious persons likely to be criminals. I submit, Honorable Speaker. Related to NPRs, the overwhelming majority of National Police Reservists continue to do a great job in securing the communities where they have been deployed. However, during the past 1 year, we have identified 2 gaps. One is on supervision of NPRs, and therefore we are making arrangements to strengthen the supervision and oversight of National Police Reservice so that the local officer commanding station and other commanders of the National Police Service can account for every firearm and every bullet, every ammunition that is in the hands of NPRs, to avoid a situation of misuse. So the issue of oversight over the guns that we issue the NPRs is something that we will tackle very stringently going forward. Secondly and lastly, Honorable Speaker, we have had isolated cases of misuse of firearms. There are few, but the damage is devastating. We've had like 2-3 cases, and we have made it clear that when NPRs misuse firearms, we shall disarm them immediately and prosecute them. We have already taken measures on 2 cases, actually 3 cases, 1 in Samburu and 2 in Elgeyo Marakwet County, where unfortunately it was discovered that a raid which had taken place on livestock, there was evidence that a gun assigned to a police reservist had discharged the bullet that had killed the victims of this crime. But by and large, 99.99% of National Police Reservists are doing a great job every day. As the House will realize, the raids have decreased, and the House will also realize, even in the unlikely event of a raid, the rates of recovery have increased, including this weekend, when some livestock has been recovered from Isiolo, which was stolen from I think some places in Igembe on Friday. By Sunday, the entire herd of 81 livestock was recovered and returned to the owners. To answer the question in a nutshell, is to say we will increase supervision of NPRs and accountability of the firearms and the ammunition they have. And number two, we shall hold accountable and punish NPRs who misuse the firearms they are given because they will be spoiling the reputation of a very good asset for our national security. I submit.